Quonquont Farm, please welcome to Field Notes, Leslie Harris.
It's a 95-degree day in August, and I am mowing one of the many meadows at Quonquont Farm. I'm driving a 1970 Ford 4000 tractor, pulling an equally vintage brush mower. And I'm going along a stone wall where there are tree branches reaching down in front of me. And before I know it, one of those branches knocks the vertical exhaust pipe off the front of my tractor. It goes right down between my wheels and with a thwang out the back of my mower. And at almost that exact moment, I hear the unmistakable of the mower blades hitting a rock, and then the whole thing feels different. So I finally get it all powered off, come back around, afraid of what I'm going to find, and indeed, there against the stone walls, my crumpled up exhaust pipe. But when I bend down and look under the mower, my worst fears are realized. The entire mower assembly, the giant blades, the enormous steel stump jumper, everything that should be suspended from the top of that mower on the ground, sheared off at the vertical rod that connects it to the gearbox. Nothing for it but the long walk of shame back up to the farm store, where one of our farm's owners and my boss, Ann, is waiting. Now, if you know Ann, you know that she is a woman of few words. But if I had $1 for every time I was out mowing something and Ann said to me, "What'd you hit out there?" I'd be a very wealthy woman. See, it was my first season as the farm manager at Quonquont. It wasn't the first I'd been around. I'd been coming around for about 4 or 5 years before that because I'm married to the farm's other owner, Allison. So we'd come every day after work or on the weekends, and we'd run our dogs around, and then we'd help out with farm chores. I'd carry buckets of mulch in the blueberries, or pick apples, or help farm store customers. But my favorite job? Mowing. I love mowing. I'd go find Ann wherever she was. I'd say, "Hey, Ann, you got anything needs mowed?" And she'd look at me and say, "Sure." And I'd go run something over. I was in heaven. I had a job. I had a career. I'd worked for 25 years or more for nonprofit humane societies in different parts of the country. I'd spent 20 years at the Dakin Humane Society here in the Pioneer Valley as their executive director. Thanks. They're a force for good, and I was very proud of the work I did there. But I was also exhausted. And when I would compare how I felt at my day job to how I felt when I would come to Quonquont, it became really clear to me that it was time for a change. So one day, with all the butterflies in my tummy, I went to see Ann, and I said, "Ann, would you make me the farm manager?" And she looked at me and she said, "Sure." Now, Ann knew that I'd worked on farms before. I'd milked cows and mucked stalls, and I'd helped out around Quonquont. And she had served on the Dakin board, so she knew I knew how to run a business. But she also knew I didn't know the first thing about growing apples. And so she took a huge chance on me that day, and I will be forever grateful. I have this memory of the first winter that I was the farm manager, and I'm out in the orchard, and I'm learning to prune apple trees, and we're standing in the snow. Now, I have a sense of self-confidence that is completely unwarranted at a moment like this, okay? So I take my loppers, cut a branch, right? Isn't that what you do? And I look over, and there's Ann. She looks at that cut. She looks at me. She says, "What's the plan, Leslie?" Because I didn't know what I was doing, and apple pruning is planning. It's preparing the tree for the coming growing season, but also a growing season 50 years from now. And you have to know what you're doing. And if there was a theme to my first many years as the farm manager, it was that I didn't know what I was doing. The one part of apple growing with which I had experience was the picking of the apples. And it turned out that was the easy part. Everything else is the hard part. For instance, every single living organism on planet Earth wants to eat your apples. It's not just us, it's deer, it's bears, it's birds, it's bugs, it's worms, it's fungus, bacterium. They're all coming for your apples. That's what it feels like. And you as the grower have to know when to intervene, what to do, how to do it. What's the exact right timing? How does the weather change what you do? And there's Mother Nature. She's throwing you curveballs, right? Not enough rain, too much rain, early heat, late freezes. Farming and climate change is confounding for the most experienced grower, but for a rookie like me, it's rough growing. So every year at the end of the growing season, I make a list that says, here are the things I got right, and that is the short list. And then I make this long list that is, here are the things I need to get right. Here are the things I need to learn, and the things I need to do better, and the things I need to do differently. But I love this job. I love the puzzle of it. I love the people I work alongside and how hard we all work. There's this job I do in the fall where I hook our brand new brush mower to the back of my tractor and I drive a half an hour through the woods. I come out into these glorious meadows with the dark hemlocks against the red maples and the brown oak leaves and the golden blue stem grass and the red-tailed hawks circling overhead, looking for an easy meal from a displaced vole. And I think, I'm going to mow for 4 days. I am the luckiest person on earth, not just because I get to do this one job that I really love, but because I am fortunate to be one of the stewards of this land. So every spring, right now, I take that list out into my orchard of the things I'm going to do right to get a bumper crop. And there's Mother Nature looking over my shoulder and whispering in my ear, "What's the plan, Leslie?" Thank you.
Leslie Harris.